The Professor Layton saga was a series of puzzle-solving video games released by Level 5 for the DS and 3DS between 2007 and 2013. Well, there's also 2 mobile games, but one of them is lost. In them, you would follow the archaeologist and part-time detective Herschel Layton and his assistant Luke Triton, as they go through different adventures and have to solve various mysteries. The series is generally really beloved, with a kinda niche but really passionate community that still is relatively active today. And in fact, a game was actually announced in 2023, but I guess they forgot. Guys, where's the game? It's been 3 years. Oh well. As for me, I got into the series without knowing since I was a little kid actually, as my grandparents used to look up pirated kids movies here on YouTube. And one time they found the Professor Layton and the Eternal Diva movie dubbed in Castilian Spanish, so from Spain. And a few years later, when I was 10, I found out about the game series and I really got into it. There are 6 games divided into 2 trilogies, composed of Curious Village, Pandora's Box, and Unbound Future, and Last Spectre, Miracle Mask, and Astronaut Legacy, respectively. With the first 4 being made for the DS, and the other 2 for the 3DS. As a kid I didn't know that you could play DS games on a 3DS, so I only ever played Miracle Mask and Astronaut Legacy. But I watched a bunch of playthroughs during my Layton phase, so I kinda do know the full story. I think. However, the first trilogy happens chronologically after the second one, working kinda like a prequel trilogy, kinda like Star Wars, I guess. So, after the second trilogy ended in 2013, everyone was excited to finally know what happened after the end of the first trilogy. And that answer came in 2017, when a new game for the series was announced, and everyone hated it. Layton's mystery journey, Katrielle and the Millionaire's Conspiracy, followed Katrielle, Professor Layton's daughter, who after her father's disappearance when she was a child, decided to open her own detective agency once she became an adult. The premise seemed interesting, but according to many fans, the game does nothing about the actually interesting plot points it sets up, like the disappearance of her father, or a random animal sidekick called Cheryl who joins Katrielle. In fact, I think it never talks about the professor's disappearance, until the last scene that is left as a cliffhanger for a game that seemingly never came out. Instead, this game works like an anthology, where Katrielle, her assistant Noah, I'll be sometimes using the Japanese names and something the English names, depending on which I got used to, sorry, and the dog Cheryl, solve 12 different mysteries, seemingly unrelated, except for the fact that some of them are related to the 7 Millionaires, a group of, 7 influential people who all turn out to be related to the final case, where, spoilers ahead, it's eventually revealed that Noah is actually the grandson of Lord Maximilian Richmond, a previous member of the 7 Dragons who died. Turns out that Noah found out that a cave full of diamonds that his family used to own was emptied by the remaining millionaires, leaving his family poor and making his mom end up dying because she was sick and couldn't get enough treatment. So he decides to set up a trap for them to have to confess once he became an adult. But in the end, it's revealed that Noah's grandfather was the one who asked them to take the diamonds and use them to develop London to improve the people's quality of life, and this is culture. So screw the mom, I guess. I really like the storyline, and I generally tried to play the game for this video, but I'm not the type to do that, so I tried but only played for 30 minutes and got bored, and then never played it again. But this isn't the game's problem, this is a me problem, because this happens to me with every single game I get. Until I suddenly get hyper-fixated on it one day and decide to just finish it on a single weekend. But I didn't have the time for that, so sorry. Yet, looking at reviews, a lot of people were really disappointed. They said that the characters aren't as sympathetic as the ones in the original games, that the puzzles are too easy, and that the story isn't engaging. Looking up Katrielle Layton online, there's a bunch of videos and posts complaining about it, and this has made a lot of people in the fandom in general hate the character herself. And while there might be truth to all of this, I think we should stop for a moment. I never played the game, sure, but there's another piece of media that, in my opinion, redeems the story. For the most part. And to be honest guys, I think you're just being too hard on it. So what am I talking about? You see, in 2018, a 50-episode anime based on the game was released, called Layton Mystery Agency, and it adapted the 12 cases from the original game, 32 episodic original cases, and the most important, at first glance but I'll discuss that in a bit, 6 actual plot-relevant episodes that tell us the story of what actually happened with Professor Layton. Because of this, and because I really got into this anime at around 2019 during my Layton phase, I decided to try and redeem this part of the franchise, at least a little bit, as I genuinely really loved the show as a kid, so I decided to rewatch it again to find out if it actually is as good as I remember, or if haters were right. Since this is an episodic show, there's a new case every episode, except for the Relics arc and a two-parter adapting the ending of the game. And it generally is really fun to see the mysteries. I'd say the best ones are the ones from the first episodes, as they generally were really engaging and surprised me quite a bit. A standout for me, and I think my favorite one, not counting the main storyline, is episode 2. In this one, Mr. Pastel, a musician, goes to the Layton Detective Agency because lately his wife Olivia has been acting strangely, suddenly getting aggressive and wanting to kill him. This according to him because she has been possessed. He believes this is because a few months before he had bought his wife a dress from a store that she had really liked, but it was rumored to be cursed, as all of its owners had gone crazy. Despite this, Mr. Pastel decided to buy it, as Olivia was severely sick, and according to him, once he gave her the dress, she was instantly cured. After the investigation by our main characters, they end up led to a semi-abandoned village, where supposedly the Charon had a strange mutation and now affected anyone who came near it by giving them hallucinations. This animation plays out in every episode when Katrielle figures out the mystery, and it genuinely looks so cool. I just wanted to point that out. Turns out that Olivia had died from her illness, and upon getting home from buying the dress, Mr. Pastel found her in the room. But he was so distraught after her funeral that the dress made him start to hallucinate Olivia and made him think she had been cured. This is really cool because watching the episode again, almost none of the characters ever talk to or look at Olivia except for Mr. Pastel and some old friends of theirs who realized what was going on and just kinda accepted it as part of his mourning process, I guess. Yet they never looked at where his husband was actually hallucinating her, because they couldn't actually see her either. In the end, Mr. Pastel is told the truth and reveals that all of the being killed and possession hallucinations probably came from his guilt of not being able to save Olivia, and from not being able to give her a good life, as he was a musician. But thanks to a letter she wrote to him before dying, he realized that she had always been happy with him, and loved his music. That's why I love this show, and while the quality of the episodic mysteries does decline as the series progresses, the rest aren't that bad either. Well, you know how in kids anime there's a part in between the mid-season and the final arc that is just kinda bad? I mean, I really love shows like Precure, where this is really common, and Layton's Mystery Agency is sadly no exception to this. There are some genuinely what the hell is going on here episodes in the latter half of the show that just left me looking at them like this. Like, guys? What's going on? But still, I believe that the show manages to redeem itself with its main storyline. So, it turns out that a set of mysterious stones called the Relic Stones exists distributed throughout London, and they seem to hold the key towards something big. A woman called Katrielle Layton was investigating them, and she almost managed to get to the bottom of it, but she was pregnant and suddenly, while traveling on a ship, a big storm made everyone have to evacuate, and she couldn't escape, as she was just giving birth in the middle of the ship. Luckily, Luke... Get it? Luckily? Okay. Luckily, Luke was in the same ship, as he was coming back from America, where he had gone to study after the first trilogy, to visit Professor Layton. Luke managed to help Camilla give birth, but she was too tired and told him to leave her there, but to take her newborn daughter with Professor Layton, as she wanted him to solve the Relic's mystery for her daughter's sake. This daughter being Katrielle. So yeah, the message that the professor had left in the letter at the end of the game, "If you are not my real daughter, then who are you really?" literally meant that she was indeed adopted. Of course, besides the arc that her character goes through in the game and rest of the anime, trying to become a detective that can solve mysteries as well as her father, and trying to get out of his shadow. The story of how Luke and Layton find out about the whole Relics mystery is told by Rosa, a minor character from Last Spectre who ended up taking care of Katrielle after her father's disappearance, as the both of them would send her letters detailing what happened, at least until they disappeared. This later would end up intertwining with the present plot points, as Katrielle would go to the same spots that her dad went to in order to find out what happened. In the end, it turns out that there was a whole conspiracy behind the relics, as 100 years prior, a rich man and a famous detective from the past had teamed up to use the relics, which were an ancient device, probably from the Asran civilization from the previous games, so they could basically time travel, as it were kinda like a cryogenic chamber that froze your body, thus allowing you to live longer, or see the future. And actually, Luke and Herschel had been frozen in there as well this whole time, so they wouldn't interfere. All of this because the detective, Aldebaran, had calculated that a comet would impact the Earth and destroy it in 100 years, but no one believed him. And he was too selfish, he thought that he was special and had to be the one to save humanity, so he froze himself. Yet, it turns out that his calculations were wrong, and the comet wouldn't come for another 100 years, ending with the message to trust that people in the future will end up having more knowledge and be able to solve stuff. So we should do our best, but always know that we don't know it all, and that society will just keep on advancing. And thinking about it, this kinda mirrors Katrielle and her father, and the reaction the fandom and the characters had about her once the game came out. People online really hated her. I read that a lot of people found her really irritating, and didn't like her boasting about being better than her father. And while this of course is subjective, I did enjoy her character and the dynamic with the other ones, although I got to admit my favorite one was probably Noah. Besides this, people say that the episodic cases from the game aren't that engaging, and yeah, if you prefer the more streamlined main plot style of the original series, I get why this would be a problem. But for me, in this show, the real core of the Layton franchise is preserved, which is the emotional side of it. Every single game of the series, and thus almost every episode, also tries to have a heartwarming or emotional reason for why the mystery happened. Episode 2 being a good example, as I've already mentioned, and the Milliners and Relics arcs also have an emotional reason in their core. I think the biggest reason for the backlash was how this came out of nowhere. People were still expecting something more out of Layton himself, so when a new game came out that wanted to appeal to more casual players again, like the original series had at the start before getting more and more serious to appeal to its fans, people got so easily disappointed they didn't even realize there was a show, or didn't care after they were disappointed with the game. Some people also say that the music isn't as good, and sorry, but that's just not true. This sounds great. If you're still a Layton fan, I recommend you watch some really nice fan compilations that people have uploaded here on YouTube, for the Relics Mystery episodes of the show. It's around 2 hours and relatively enjoyable. But if you also enjoy kids anime, this is really similar to, for example, Shadow Detective Preacher, the newest Preacher season, in some ways. Which, of course, makes sense for its theme. So it'll be fun if you gave it a try as well. This was something I really want to get off my chest for a while now, so if you guys watched it all the way to the end, thank you so much. The Layton franchise is something I really love, and I really enjoy the Katrielle anime as well, despite all of its flaws. But what do you guys think? Are you a fan of the anime, or had you not heard about it? Do you still dislike Katrielle? Why? I'd be really happy to see your opinions in the comments. Also, I really want to thank you all guys for helping me to get to 600 subs, and for getting the last video to 4,000 views. I'm genuinely really happy you guys are liking my stuff, and I hope you keep enjoying my videos. I plan to keep on talking about media I'm into, but also some art and internet mystery stuff. So if any of you are not subscribed and would enjoy that style of content, I'd be really grateful if you did. Anyways, this was it for this video. See you guys next month for the next one. Unless I end up forgetting about it and uploading in like 6 months. So yeah, bye guys!